Hey everyone, my name's Ken Judge, and we're here for Leafs versus Sens Game 2 recap right here on Ken's Corner. I have Gord joining me here today. He's been out of action for a little bit, but I'm glad to have you back. And George, our mainstay out there in Calgary. George, let's start with you. Is there was there any cheers on those streets of Calgary last night when Mr. Domi put that puck in the net?
Oh, I don't know about that. But I do get a couple guys, because since I got my two flags on my truck there, the Toronto Maple Leafs flags, I do get a couple honks and a couple, yeah, go Leafs, go. So no, not last night, since I was out on the road working, so I didn't hear too much.
Thank you. Um, at the start of this game, Gord, just because we had so many power plays in that game one, as a Leaf fan, we pretty much in unison expected to, I don't know, get the shaft just a little bit. Did you find that penalties were one-sided a little bit? I think we had one power play yesterday, and by the way, we scored on that. Were you expecting a much closer game in this game, Gord?
Definitely thought it would be closer. Knew that the refs would be calling some of the more abrupt penalties that weren't called in game one um, against us. And I think it was all around. I think they kind of let them play for a little bit and then decided that enough was enough. They knew it was going to start to get rough and tumbled again. So I think all around we did get the shaft at the beginning of the game. I think it evened itself out once the game actually got to where it needed to be. But yeah,
And George, there was I believe almost every one of those goals, maybe the overtime goal that wasn't a deflected goal. I think every other goal on both sides was a deflected goal. Is that a testament to the way both these goalies are playing last night?
Well, yeah, I mean, the defense players are there and they're trying to help out the goalie, but sometimes it hinders them. Um, I mean, I think the first goal was a clean goal, was it not?
Uh,
Um,
I
but
believe that. Well, yeah, Morgan Riley. Actually, that's nice.
yeah,
Good for you to bring up. It was kind of funny watching John Tavares make sure that one was buried. I actually enjoyed seeing that. I don't know how you felt about that.
yeah, I was glad to see two goals right off the hop in the first period. So that set me good for a while. It did get chippy, and we didn't get a lot of penalty calls going our way. I mean, especially when Marner gets a high sticking in the nose.
Yeah, and then Nick Robertson immediately after gets that high stick. Gord, do you think Nick Robertson did enough to remain in this lineup? From what I've heard Craig Berube say, they're probably going back with the same lineup. And I mean, we're 2-0. Why wouldn't we? Do you think maybe it's time to move to maybe a David Kampf or a Max Pacioretty?
uh, I've never been much of a Nick Robertson fan in terms of the style that he plays. Um, I mean, overall, it was a chippy game. There was a lot of high sticking calls and a lot of people getting them in the face. Um, I think if Max Pacioretty's ready to go, I think Robertson probably should sit for game three and let Pacioretty come in. But again, Berube is going to run with the lineup that's winning. So again,
Yeah.
it's kind of a coin toss on that side.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense that to run it back. But I for one, would like to see Pax ready in the lineup and see what he could bring. But I mean, we're 2-0, and the fact is, the Leafs in the last 10 times in the playoffs, 2-0, doesn't happen very often. But we are 10-0, and guess what? The last nine series that Ottawa has come out and went down by two games. Guess what their record is? 0-9, boys. So I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but it's looking pretty good for that game three. George, are you expecting the Leaf fans to get inside and infiltrate that arena? I've heard funny stories how people are going to walk in with Senators jersey just to say they're Ottawa Senator fans when they're buying the ticket, and then get in there and reveal that they're a Leaf fan with that jersey under that Ottawa jersey.
Well, that would be a great scene. Um, yeah, I think we'll get in and make some noise. We're Leaf fans. That's what we do. Um, and let's keep Allmark in the net there because we're lighting that guy up.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know if he had much of a chance on those two goals that we did score. They're pretty decisive goals, and for that matter, Gord, I for one, and I mean Craig Berube came out and said it as well. We need to play better in that second period. I think we sat back a lot. Maybe we went into a bit of a shell and let Ottawa come at us. I think we were well outshot in that period. Although we know the third period is a different story, and they didn't get a shot until they actually scored that goal in the 13th minute. Um, do you want to see a better uh, rounded team as far as holding it down come second period?
I mean, I agree with Berube. The first period they were dominant. The second period they did. It was they kind of took a little nap and thought the game was over, and then realized that in the third period they needed to come out, and unfortunately it was the first shot of the third period that scored the game tying goal. But I think they've got to kind of play the whole 60 minutes instead of uh so to speak playing 40. Um they were lucky in the second period that it nothing went in. Um but they kind of did. They kind of played lackadaisy in the second period. That many shots in a difference. I think the difference was 8 or 9 shots. But again, we've got Stolarz and he played absolutely phenomenal. So
Yeah. Um, George, did you happen to see that interaction with Anthony Stolar and one Ridley Grieg, enemy number one here in Leaf Nation from a few years back now? What was your reaction on that interaction between those two players?
That was awesome, and that's why I'm giving him a star. Um, him backing up his teammates as well as the forwards, and the rest of the team, getting a goalie in there and making sure that he's making a presence too. Really, Greg, you suck. Stolarz, you rock.
Yeah, he looked like a monster standing beside him, didn't he, Gord? Like, let's have your take on that. I said, you know what? We're all going to add in our little excitement and bits on this one because it's one hell of a thing to happen when it's for us, not against us.
hey, listen, he Stolarz gave him a half a pass by saying he blew a tire in game one when he went into him. It was deliberate. We all know it. Game two, he started again. He was chipping. He was chirping him in the crease. And he just said, you know what? Enough is enough. It's time. The refs let him go for a little bit. I think the final knockdown was what gave Stolarz the penalty there. But I think it kind of also gave Mr. Greg there a little you can stay the heck away from me and stop trying to run into me consistently because this ain't happening no more.
Yeah, I found it funny in the presser. I don't know if you guys heard what Anthony Stoller said about that actual situation with Ridley Gregg. He said he was in the heat of the moment and he didn't even know who that player was. I'm not sure I really believe that. Guys, chime in with me here. Do you guys
I
believe that?
I think he knew exactly who that was. I think it was outright showing him enough is enough. This is can't continue. and you can stay the heck away from me.
Well, he was chipping him there in front of the net for a long time, and they were going back and forth. Ridley went off to the corner and then tried to come back, and Stolarz just stood his place and Ridley bounced off him like a little girl.
Mhm. Yeah, that's 100% the truth. He was. It looked like a man next to a little boy. That's for sure. I mean, why are you taking a run at a 6'7", 243-pound man and thinking you're going to come out in the top end of that? I don't know. Do you guys think that that roughing penalty was well granted, taken? Was a message sent, Gord? Was a message sent from Anthony Stolarz to stay out of my net?
I think that penalty was well taken and well deserved. Um, in terms of it, honestly, there was a few calls that Stolarz could have got called on. I mean, the hack to the back of the legs multiple times to kind of teach him a lesson. They could have called them. They let him go. Um, him coming back at Stolarz, I think, was the final. You know, knock him down and tell him enough is enough. Stay away from me. You know, you're not running into me anymore, and I'm done. I
Yeah,
think it's well worth the 2 minutes for roughing gladly.
yeah. And George, what do you think? I don't know if you know this, but apparently in a podcast that I watched, if you watch after the fact of what happened, the referee was interacting with Stolar. Apparently, he said, "Okay, you guys are even. Enough is enough." What is your take on that, George?
I did see it, and I believe, Stolarz was saying, listen, hey, if you're going to let this go on, I'm going to partake. And I guess maybe the ref did say enough's enough, and that's the way it went.
Yeah. Okay, so it's into the third period. First shot comes in, deflection. Wow, got at former Leaf that didn't make the team, by the way. Scores and ties that goal. Was it all dread for you from there? Were you going back into past history, Leaf history, and were the ghosts of Leaf's past coming to haunt you, Gord?
Actually, no. I think this is a different team all around. If this had been a few years ago, I think I might have thrown my converter at my TV, just so I didn't have to dread the loss. But I think if you look at everybody that they've brought in and the team environment that Berube's got, yeah, it was a little blip, and Berube kind of settled them down, and overall, I mean, one mishap, one deflection was enough to tie the game. But then again, it was on both sides. I mean, I'm sure Ottawa was realizing that one little doink off any Toronto player, and the score is back 3-2 very, very quickly. But yeah, no, I don't think I was as scared as I have been in the last couple of years. I think honestly, all around the team is a better team and more solid.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. George, your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree. I think we've done really good in the past over this season, and for overtime wins. I think we've been really good at that. And no, I wasn't scared. And I'm not scared of Allmark being in that net. We can get it past him all the time. Any shot on him is going in.
Okay, so we're heading into the overtime. Here we go, boys. Overtime, 5-on-5. Fun times right there at Scotiabank Arena. 20,000 fans inside. Oh, by the way, Ty Domi's in the crowd. Another 10,000 screaming, very young fans outside like it usually is. I don't think there's many of us older people out there with them, but it's great to see. Your thoughts going into that overtime? Did you have a player in your mind, Gord, that you thought maybe would end the game in our favor?
I did, and it wasn't who scored the goal. I will say that. I figured it was probably going to be Mitch Marner, with the way that the overtimes and that and the way that they were kind of spaced out near the end of that third period, they were, the shots were back and forth. But I did dig Marner. And honestly, going into the overtime, I think it was a different kind of atmosphere in the building. It wasn't as quiet as it has been in the past years. They were actually making noise both inside and outside. So I think the Leafs kind of drew off that, and were able to actually realize that this is our house, not you're not coming in here and winning, so we can go back tied back to Ottawa.
George, did you think that I know you've been very high advocate for Max Domi since he's been on this team since last year's fan panel. So, what was your thoughts moving into that overtime?
Well, I'll say this. Sorry, McMahon, you've been a little bit snake bitten. I was gonna pick Domi in my Timmies, and yeah, I'm so glad that Domi did do it. And what a rush for Benoit to get it over to Domi. It looked like Domi wasn't going to get a handle on it, and shoots it in, scores. We win.
Yeah, Domi, in fact, was pictured, videotaped, practicing that same shot earlier in the day yesterday, which is great. And like I've heard someone else say, when you see Domi do that leg kick, it usually means it's going in the net. Gord, in fact, it was the Domi line that was on, and it was a giveaway that led to that goal that tied the game. Were you surprised that within that 3 minute span that Craig Berube actually went to that line and it paid off? Domi scored that goal. Were you surprised that he continued going to the Domi Robertson McMahon line?
Honestly, no, I wasn't surprised at all, to be honest with you. I think he said it. That line's been good all year when they've been together. I think didn't matter who was on the ice actually when that goal was scored. It was deflected uh, pretty good, even though it was a giveaway. But it was just a game of bounces last night. That's all it was. I mean, I thought Benoit there was a forward the way he was skating up that ice. You know,
Well,
give
it was off of a giveaway, a direct giveaway from Tim Stusla coming in over the Leaf line. He tried to make a cross ice pass. Benny, I love to call him Benny, he stepped up, took that pass, and like you said, both of you have said here, he rushed through that zone and then passed it off. And you know what? The best part of that, I don't know if you guys both noticed this. I'm sure you did. Benoit went straight to the front of the net, and we all know a 6'2" guy standing in front of Allmark with that shot that Domi seemed to be using last night. I'm sure we've all said it a million times this year. Shoot, Domi, shoot. Yeah, he let that one up. George, did you come out of your? I think you might have been at work by this point. Did you come out of your work boots when you heard that goal go in?
Well, I tell you, a guy was standing beside. I was listening on the radio on my phone. A guy was standing beside the paver, and I screamed, "Yeah!" And he jumped out of his pants, not me.
And Gord, was it a beautiful sound to you when you heard that post shot?
Oh, it was a beautiful sound. A lot of times we don't get to hear the doink, but I think Benoit going to the net was a bit of a surprise for Ottawa. I don't think they expected him really to go and stand in front of the net the way that he did.
Yeah.
And I think honestly it was nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Domi just shooting the puck instead of multiple passes that he tries to make. Don't get me wrong, great playmaker, but that boy's got to shoot.
Yeah. Well, definitely. Did you see? Well, two things I want to mention to you because you were actually watching it on TV, Gord. Did you see Benoit doing his own celebration in the corner away from his teammates? Did you see Ty Domi getting mauled by his friends? And your thoughts on the sound of that crowd when the goal went in?
Uh, I did see Benoit have his own little separate celebration. I did, and I think he was actually quite happy because I think it was quite a surprise for him that he was able to stand in front of the net and not get completely mauled. Uh, and I mean, the crowd just absolutely came to life. Domi's celebration says it all. The look on his face says everything. It's been a year for him. He's been up and down. He's been all over the place, but he's continued to work at it and continue to need to be the guy we need him to be in that on that third line playing hard.
Definitely. And if anyone knows Ty Domi like a Leaf fan does, Ty Domi doesn't smile very often. It's usually, if you know me, then you must go me. And that's pretty much Ty Domi's motto, is it not? George, was that Max Domi's biggest goal in his career in your mind?
Biggest Leaf goal, yeah, probably. I yeah, sure. I'll say yeah, it was his biggest goal to win it and go into Ottawa 2-0. Yeah, sure, I'll say that.
Okay, we're going to move forward, and now that we've done our recap, guys, you did great. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm getting feedback. Okay. We're just going to set up this game three. I'm sorry, Thursday night. Your thoughts moving into Ottawa? Are you a little worried that we're playing in Ottawa's barn? Gord, sorry.
I'm not worried. I think it's going to be the same style of play going in. Um, the crowd's going to be a little different. That's going to be the only thing. They're not going to hear the roar of the crowd as big as they did here, but there's still going to be Leaf fans there. They could try and ban us from every building, but it ain't going to happen. Um, I know quite a few guys that have got tickets that are Leaf fans that have got tickets that live around the Ottawa area, and you can still be a Leaf fan and live in the Ottawa area. So
Mhm.
it's going to be a good game. I think different atmosphere in terms of the crowd, but I
Yeah.
think as they come out and play their game, shouldn't be a problem.
You're 100% right because before the Ottawa Senators, people of the Ottawa area either voted for were a Leaf fan or you were a Canadian fan. So those guys are still there. George, with these Leaf fans getting inside of the Senators building at the Canadian Tire Center there, do you think that you might hear some Brady suck chants?
Na 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 na. Goodbye, Sands.
George, is this the most important game of this series for Toronto?
Well, I did say it's gonna go game 5. Um, whether they take it tonight or the next or tomorrow night, I don't think they're gonna take it tomorrow night. I think we're gonna go in and own them in their own stadium.
Gord, would you be happy with a split in these two games?
I would be happy with a split. I'd prefer them to, sweep the series, but I would be happy with a split. Coming back home, hearing the
Yeah.
crowd back here, I think you can't go wrong with that. I think the hometown crowd always gives you a bigger push to win the game overall, and I think that would be sweet for them to knock Ottawa out in the first round and
Mhm.
move on. I think we're going to be playing Florida next round based on what's happened so far.
Well, it's a one game thing, but yeah, Kachuk looked pretty healthy for coming back in his first game, scoring 2 goals in that one. At least he's over there. And I'll be honest, with watching those replays in that game, I was like, I'm so happy to not be playing the Florida Panthers right now. That's
Go from one Kachuk to another, right? So You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
if this old man has anything to say about it, everything will be a bribery tactic. So
Yeah. George, do you think we should go with the same lineup? Is there any changes for you?
Like we were talking about before, I wouldn't mind seeing Patches come in. But with that being said, that probably brings out Robertson. Um, and you know that Robertson, Domi, and McMahon line that does really good. So it's up to Berube.
Yeah. And Gord, do you want to chime in on this?
I, I mean, again, I'd like to see Pacioretty in the game, but if you're winning, like they say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So, uh, unfortunately, I would roll with it for game three and see what happens.
Yeah. Gord, while we're still on with you here, um, what are you expecting a close game again?
I am expecting a close game. I think it's going to be another game like we just had. I don't see a runaway game happening.
Do
I
you
think
guys want to give a prediction on the goal scorer? Is that a jinx?
I'm not going to give one there. I think that's going to jinx it. I think
I appreciate that. I feel the same way, Gord. I'm in the same
I,
way.
I look at what Ron McLean did on for
Ovechkin.
Alex Ovechkin there and the Montreal fans. As much as I don't like Montreal, I think that was a huge jinx for them, saying he hadn't ever had a playoff.
Yeah, he
Uh,
might have become enemy number one in Montreal.
and he was warned that that could happen. But again, you've got the greatest goal scorer in that series. And again, for us, I'm not jinxing anybody. I
Yeah,
think honestly, anybody, whether it's any of the forwards or the defensemen, can score. There's plenty of movability there for anybody to really score one shot and the
yeah.
ding ding and it's in, right?
Do you feel the same, George?
I just if we learn from anything from last night's game, more shots on net. Let's go, guys.
Yeah.
Shoot the puck on Allmark.
Thank you. That's our last word of the day. Thank you so much, guys. If you want to give it a goalies go on the way out, that's great.
Go
Yeah,
Leafs, go.
please go.
All right. My name's Ken Judge. We're here on Leafs versus Sens Game 2 recap on Ken's Corner podcast. My name's Ken Judge, and I'm here with Gord and George. Thank you, guys. Enjoy our next game, and we'll see you if you both want to come back. We'll be on after Game 3 for Game
If I'm
3
not
recap.
working.
If
All
I'm
right.
not working, absolutely, Ken.
Okay, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Have a good one.